The morning my wife asked me to help her choose a dress for another man's dinner invitation, I smiled as if nothing inside me had cracked. She stood before the mirror, trying on expensive outfits while humming our wedding song, asking which earrings looked better. I zipped up her elegant navy blue dress, adjusted the necklace I had bought for our anniversary, and even sprayed her favorite perfume across her shoulders. She thanked me with a casual smile that felt colder than winter. Before leaving, she kissed my cheek and whispered, "Don't wait up." I simply nodded because she had no idea that this night would change everything forever. The front door closed softly behind her, leaving the house wrapped in complete silence. I didn't cry or scream. Instead, I walked to my office, unlocked a drawer, and removed a thick folder I had been preparing for months. Inside were financial records, property deeds, bank statements, screenshots, and every document proving how much of our life had been built through my sacrifices. My attorney had warned me never to act emotionally, only strategically. Tonight was the perfect moment because every decision I made would be supported by evidence instead of anger. While she enjoyed her glamorous evening, my future quietly began taking shape. At exactly 8 o'clock, my lawyer called with the words I had been waiting to hear. Every shared investment had been legally separated according to our prenuptial agreement, and every document requiring my signature was officially complete. The luxury SUV she proudly drove belonged solely to the company now. The vacation house overlooking the lake had also been transferred under a business trust that excluded personal ownership. None of it violated the law because everything had been planned carefully months earlier. My wife believed wealth was permanent, but she never understood that paperwork could erase illusions faster than arguments ever could. Around 9:30, my phone buzzed with social media notification. Someone had uploaded photos from the upscale restaurant downtown. There she was, laughing across the table from a sharply dressed businessman whose arm rested comfortably behind her chair. Friends filled the comments with heart emojis and playful jokes, assuming they were a happy couple. I stared at every picture without feeling rage anymore. Instead, I experienced something far more dangerous: clarity. Those images confirmed every suspicion I had ignored for too long. I quietly saved each screenshot, archived them into my evidence folder, and turned off my phone without another thought. Rather than chasing her or creating a dramatic confrontation, I drove across town to visit someone she never expected, her father. He welcomed me warmly, surprised to see me carrying a folder instead of wine. We sat quietly until I placed the printed photographs and financial records on his dining table. His smile slowly disappeared as page after page revealed the truth. He had always believed his daughter valued loyalty above everything else. Watching disappointment replace pride across his face hurt me more than discovering the affair itself. Before leaving, he simply whispered, "I never imagined she could become this person." Meanwhile, my wife continued enjoying her glamorous evening, completely unaware that the foundation beneath her life had already begun collapsing. She posted another smiling photograph online with the caption, "Life is too short not to follow your heart." Friends praised her confidence, but hidden behind those compliments were people already forwarding screenshots to relatives, co-workers, and family acquaintances. Rumors spread faster than she realized because public appearances often create permanent consequences. While she celebrated freedom, important relationships quietly began breaking apart one conversation at a time. The celebration she believed marked a new beginning was slowly becoming the start of her greatest downfall. Just after midnight, headlights appeared outside the house. She stepped inside carrying shopping bags, smiling as though nothing unusual had happened. "You actually stayed awake," she joked while removing her heels. I calmly handed her a sealed envelope resting on the kitchen counter. Her smile faded instantly after recognizing the attorney's letter. Confusion turned into panic as she flipped through the pages describing separated finances, ownership transfers, and formal divorce proceedings. She looked directly into my eyes, expecting tears or shouting. Instead, I calmly replied, "I already accepted your choice long before you walked out that front door." Her hands trembled as the papers slipped onto the kitchen floor. For the first time that night, confidence disappeared from her face. She kept repeating that this had to be some kind of misunderstanding, insisting we could still talk everything through. I quietly explained that every legal document had already been finalized before she ever stepped into that restaurant. There was nothing left to negotiate. The marriage she had taken for granted had officially reached its end long before she returned home. She realized she hadn't lost me in a single evening. She had been losing me through every selfish decision she made. The following morning, reality hit even harder. Her company-issued luxury SUV was scheduled for collection. The corporate credit cards she had freely used no longer worked. When she logged into our shared financial accounts, access had already been removed according to the legal settlement. She called me repeatedly, but I didn't answer. Instead, my attorney handled every communication professionally. The businessman she had spent the evening with suddenly became distant after realizing she was no longer surrounded by the wealth and stability he admired. The fantasy she had chased collapsed far faster than it had begun. Within days, word quietly spread among family members and close friends. No one needed dramatic speeches because the evidence spoke for itself. The photographs, messages, and timeline painted a clear picture. Invitations stopped arriving. Friends who once praised her confidence suddenly avoided her calls. Even relatives who had always defended her couldn't ignore the truth anymore. Meanwhile, I stayed silent, refusing to insult or embarrass her publicly. My silence carried more weight than anger ever could. People respected dignity, and without saying a single cruel word, I had already earned something she could never recover, my integrity. Several weeks later, I focused entirely on rebuilding my life. I returned to hobbies I had abandoned, spent more time with family, and accepted a business opportunity one had postponed for years because of my marriage. My confidence slowly returned with every passing day. One afternoon, while leaving a meeting, I noticed a familiar figure sitting alone outside a small cafe. It was my ex-wife, gone with the designer clothes and effortless smile. She looked exhausted, staring into an untouched cup of coffee. When our eyes met, regret filled hers, but mine remained calm. She stood and walked toward me with tears forming in her eyes. She admitted the man she had chosen disappeared the moment life became complicated. She confessed that excitement had blinded her to everything we had built together. She begged for one more chance, promising she had finally understood the value of loyalty. I listened quietly without interrupting. When she finished, I smiled politely and wished her peace. Then I told her something she would remember forever. The hardest lesson in life is discovering the value of something only after you've willingly thrown it away. As I walked away, I didn't feel victorious. I felt free. Revenge had never been about destroying her life. It had been about protecting my own future. She believed happiness could be found in someone new, while I discovered that real peace begins the moment you stop accepting betrayal. Months later, my business flourished. My family stood beside me, and I woke each morning without resentment weighing on my heart. Looking back, helping her get ready for that date had been the final act of a marriage already beyond saving. She left wearing a smile, but she returned to find that everything she truly valued was already gone.